Anyways, the first thing I would like to say is that I'm not racist. I know what the title looks like, and it's very over the top, but you know, that's with all my titles. But today's story does get very insane, so let's just jump straight into it. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. Now, this story will knock your socks off, because this happened back in my high school back in 2017. So I remember in 2017, it was a very different time than what it was now. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't that long ago if you guys really think about it. Like, I think it was like only like 5 years ago, but still, it was way more different than now. The way I'll explain this is that basically back when I was in high school, one of the main things I was known for was always doing the Devil's Tango, which fair enough, I've done it with over like, I think over 50 girls at this point in my high school career, but still overall, I'm not gonna lie, it became really awkward talking to women most of the time because a lot of them already knew me from it. But I remember it became a time where randomly we had some foreign exchange students coming into the school. Honestly, it was very often this would happen because for some reason people in like foreign countries would send their kids off to come to North America and either go to school in the United States or Canada and just get an education system. Because apparently our education system is 10 times higher than most countries, which fair enough, I believe it. Going on though, I remember there was a bunch of foreign girls walking down the hallway and I never recognized them. I never saw them before, I never seen them before, and I remember one of them looked me straight in the eye and kind of winked. It was really awkward at first, but I kind of just let it go and said, oh, you know, it's whatever. And then I remember a couple classes later, this was my fourth block, I ended up going inside a classroom and I ended up seeing two foreign exchange students and one of them that winked at me. I remember I looked at her and she looked at me and it was pretty awkward eye contact. And then randomly out of nowhere, I remember my teacher walked up in front of the classroom and said, okay class, so I want you guys to stand in front of the classroom and say what country you're from, your name, and what are your hobbies. At this point, I knew why my teacher was doing this was because definitely we had new kids in the classroom, usually like to pull some kind of stunt. So we all know each other in a way, which in reality, teachers, if you're watching this, it doesn't work. Don't be awkward. Just let me go through my day and get my homework and dip. Sorry, going on. I remember the girl came in front of the classroom, introduced her name, and then she said she was from a country that was very, very odd. I never heard of this country, but it was somewhere in the Middle East. And me being Persian, I should have known, but I didn't. Anyways, it ended up being my turn. I ended up going up in front of the classroom, introducing myself. I literally said, hi, my name's Arash Baba Moini. I'm from Persia or Iran, I guess. And I play video games. When I said that, everyone was kind of just like, you know, not really caring, except the girl that introduced herself before me. She was very, very amazed. Like, if I can mention how amazed she was in shock that I said I was from Persia. Now, I know Persia is not existent anymore, technically speaking, in, you know, geography terms, but it's called Iran. I don't know. My dad always told me I was Persian, so I kind of just went with Persia, but it just ended up being a whole twist and wind. I have no idea. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember I said that, and then basically when I said that, like I said, the girl was in shock. She looked at me and she basically was all like freaked out, and then she walked up in front of the classroom when I was still up there and ended up going on her knees. It was really awkward, and I looked at her and I said, are you good? And then she said something in some Arabic language. I have no idea, by the way, what language she was. So in any way, if you guys get offended from this story, I apologize. I'm going off basically nothing and not understanding. But she basically said something under her breath and basically bowed down to me. I found it really awkward, so I literally said, can you just go back to your seat, please? And then she instantly stood up, went back to her seat, no questions asked. Not even like a hum or a response or not even an eye roll. She was literally just obeying my command. It was very interesting. And you know, I'm not one for slavery, okay? But people following orders is kind of awesome. Anyways, going on, I remember this day went on. I didn't really think much about what just happened back there. So I ended up kind of just doing my own thing and hanging out with friends at lunchtime. And when I did, in middle of lunch, out of nowhere, the same girl walked up to me that bowed down to me in the last class. She walked up to me and she's like saying some foreign language once again. And then afterwards, she bowed down and handed me her food. She literally handed me her food. Like the food that she was supposed to eat for lunch, she gave it to me. And she said, I hope you enjoy. What? I literally looked at her and I said, can you just stand up and not bow down anymore? She stood up instantly. She said, sorry, master. I apologize. Are you good? Is what I asked her. Like, I just asked her like straight up with no sarcasm, nothing. I just kind of yelled at her. And then she kind of started going to tears. I had no idea what was going on, but this girl was calling me her master. This girl was bowing down to me in the middle of school. Like, it was just pure awkwardness. And then I remember out of nowhere, one of her friends that was in my class also walked up to me and said, oh, sorry, like she doesn't understand that there's no slavery anymore in this country. She's kind of just awkwarded out by it. Wait, what? Slavery? Is what I said. And then she said, yeah, apparently she used to be a slave to like some Persia person. I have no idea. And I guess like from you introducing that you were from Persia, she kind of just thought like you're like the Prince of Persia or something. I don't know. She thinks you're royalty. Huh? Is what I said. I was very confused. And honestly, honestly, none of it made sense. Like, trust me, you guys are probably thinking, oh, this story's so cap, bro. Like, you gotta be lying here. Like, there's no way this is real. But it was surely real because it made no sense. In no way in history did it make sense that she was a slave. I have no idea. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember I basically kept doing my own thing. I, every day went to school, did my own thing, and basically hung out with friends. And then one time, I remember I was, well, stressing the hell out. Because I remember I ended up skipping a math class the other day to go hang out with friends, and I had to go do it today by myself, alone, in a classroom. So I remember when I entered inside the classroom that I was supposed to do the test in, I was freaking out shivering. And you guys are probably thinking, what does this have to do with the story? Well, just keep listening. I remember I basically started doing like the test by myself, and the teacher ended up leaving the classroom to go do her thing. Out of nowhere, and it was very shocking, the girl that thinks I'm her master ended up walking into the room. She walks into the room, sees me, and she's like, what are you doing here? With the little English she knew. I told her I'm doing a test, and then I was stressing out. But then she looked at the test quickly, glanced over at it, and said, easy, easy. And at that point, there was a way where I could not stress anymore. So I remember I stood up and I said, you obey me, correct? With a confident voice. She said, yes. And then I told her, do my test. She literally sat down. She did my test through and through. She sat down, did the entire test, and then afterwards, I remember I told her to leave when she was done. She ended up leaving the classroom in such a hurry to the point where she ran out of the classroom. And 10 minutes later, I just sat there on my phone until my teacher walked in, and I quickly put my phone away so we wouldn't think I was cheating. Came in and said, oh, but you finished your test? All right, give it to me. Let me see this thing. He ended up marking it right in front of me, and the amount of intimidation was crazy, to the point where he actually ended up giving me an A. I actually got every question, well, sorry, she actually got every question right, which was insane to me and blew my mind. Now, this is where things get really funny. I remember I ended up leaving the classroom. I left the classroom, I went to the front of the school, and when I did, I was ready to go home because I didn't really need to be in school that day. Then, out of nowhere, I remember she ended up popping up in front of me saying, Master, shall we go to your home? She went on the floor and bowed down again. And at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I was in the mood to do the devil's tango. So obviously I asked her, I'm like, hey, like, are you down to smash? And then she said, yes, I will do the devil's tango with you. I ended up going back to my place and taking her to my place. We ended up doing the devil's tango. I know, kind of weird. And yes, this was consensual, by the way. This wasn't illegal. No way was I forcing her. I did say, like, do you want to? And she said yes. And at the time, also beforehand, when we were on the drive home, I told her how, I'm not her master and stuff. And she still thought I was attractive, so I pulled it off. But what I'm saying is that basically, long story short, slavery is not a good thing. It could really mess with people's minds, and honestly is a very crazy thing. And I'm happy to see that we don't have slaves anymore. I mean, other than that, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys.
My name is Baba. I'm still on top of the world. Devil's taking with your mother. Of course, let's go. Should I make it a story? Let's click record. Got that TikTok with 2